welcome back to
Bunso
Bunso Bites.
Bites.
I'm your host, Ami43.
And I'm your co-host, Chigi.
How have you been, Chigi? It's our first time in a hot minute, and our schedules have finally aligned.
Yes. It's going. I can't say that I have the best of health since last time we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
I've had 2 different gout attacks.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that one went up the right knee and then the other one went up the left knee. And so they were like back to back.
2 KO.
One was like one day, and then 2 days later it was the other day or the other knee.
Mm-hmm.
So, I can't really say I've been great, but life is lifing.
Yeah.
So
as it normally does.
it just so happens that I still had some medication left over from the last time I've been to the doctor, and that actually really helped me out get through that gout attack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. And I mean, I also just feel like you and I have been on like 2 different spectrums of schedules and like taking care of different things. Like I've been with you and I've spent time with you 100%, but it's like I haven't like we've kind of been doing our own thing the last couple of weeks now. It feels like anyways. And it's been a while since we've recorded, so I was like, oh, okay. Trying to get back into the swing of recording. I was like, it felt like a weird old muscle that I haven't exercised in a hot minute. But yeah, no, I'm glad you were able to get past your gout attacks. That's never fun when it happens, but as Chigi said, we're grateful that he still had some leftover vacation, so it helped get through that, I guess.
Of course.
Yeah.
And how about you? How have you been these past couple of weeks?
It's been a lot of planning. We were doing a lot. I just finished some travel, but also just like there was just a lot of logistical things, and having to take care of a lot of different things that are I just feel like I've just been in logistical mode, not just for this traveling, but for different wedding things and for different things at work. Work has been really interesting. We are, if you did or didn't know, I work for the government. And so with the government shutdown, that included, being furloughed and all that stuff. However, I still have to go to work for my specific job. So I've been going to work, but I'm not getting paid, which has been very, very surreal. We're hoping that this shutdown won't last more than till the end of the month, but we're kind of just, waiting and seeing. But I still go to work every day, and I'm still just chugging along. So that's been, I don't know if stressful is the word. It's just, there's just a lot of unknown at work right now, and we're all just kind of like literally the consensus at work is just shrugged shoulders. Because it's out of our hands, depending on if and whenever those in Congress decide whether it's a continuing resolution or whatever it is. Up until then, there's just no money, so but we still have a job to do, because the job that I do supports supports a lot of things. So it's kind of just like, okay, they're figuring it out, and I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs, and hopefully we'll get paid soon. I will say, just as like a side tangent, when we were going through TSA, because TSA is going through the same thing, they are still working, and then those TSA agents are not getting paid right now. And while we were going through TSA, one of the people that I was traveling with was kind of joking or whatever with the TSA agents, and then they were like, oh, well, you should be fine because, you'll be able to go through. And my friend was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why you think I'm so well off. And the TSA agent jokingly responded back with, well, you're better off than us because at least you're getting paid and we're not. And it was one of those like, oh, it's so funny because we really can't do anything. And if you don't laugh about it, you're going to cry about it type of situation, which sounds really like dark, but in that moment it was really, really lighthearted and funny, and all of us kind of laughed it off. I'm just like, yeah, I feel you, bro. So like I said, hopefully soon continuing resolution or just passing the budget so that, into the next fiscal year. This happens every year, but for whatever reason this time they really just didn't sign a CR. And so they were like, no budget. But that's been, I guess that's my update. Again, we're okay. It's just been a little bit kind of, everyone's on their toes just a little bit in the federal government, because we're all, there are those who are not working, like they're full on furloughed and they're just sitting at home waiting. And then there are those like me who I still have to work and go to work, but I'm not getting a paycheck. So we're just like, okay, hopefully. And we'll see what happens. But anyways, all that to say, I know before this episode, you and I were kind of discussing what we wanted to talk about. And we kind of wanted to do a little bit of, like, for us anyways, it would be a throwback episode of our college days. Both Chigi and I have had the opportunity to go to college. We're very fortunate for that. We were both college graduates. So, Chigi, where did you go to school and what is your degree? And what year, if you don't mind sharing, what year did you graduate?
So that's a little much.
He said, I don't want to share.
So I did a split. I went to Tidewater Community College first to get my associates,
right.
And then I transferred over to Old Dominion University to get my bachelor's.
ODU?
Now, I graduated high school 2004.
Okay.
I didn't get my associates until 2007.
Okay.
So it took me 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
And I did not go to school my very first semester.
Oh, okay. You kind of like took a little break.
Oh, I didn't want to take a break, but I was forced to.
Oh, yes. I remember the story. Yes. Okay, sorry. Yes.
So, the fall semester following my graduation from high school, I didn't sign up in time to register for classes. And so I had to take that semester off, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And so I just waited around. Thankfully, I had a job then.
Okay.
So I was working at Tropical Smoothie back then. So I'd take on as many hours as I could,
right,
to make it seem that I was still going to school. And then once I finally graduated from TCC, I transferred over to Old Dominion, and it happened again, where I did not register in time. Well, actually, I registered, but they were like, you have to attend orientation.
Right.
And I didn't attend orientation in time for the following fall semester in 2007. And so I had to, again, take a semester off.
Yeah. Before
I could actually start going back to school. And so I graduated from Old Dominion in 2012.
Okay, yes.
So it took me 4.5 years after that. So it's actually 2.5 years at Old Dominion, 2.5 at TCC, 4.5 at Old Dominion. So in total, 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's a little thing about me. I don't like talking about it because it's really silly, because I could have done all that on time, but I didn't. So how about you?
Well, okay, and before we hop into mine, this is not a whatever. This is proof that, like, everyone's college journey and story is vastly different. One of the things I want to point out in the story, which Chigi did not mention, is particularly for the transfer part. The ODU did not communicate it well to Chigi that he had to attend an orientation, so to speak. I think you said it was like one email, which like was not, or like it ended up in junk or something like that. And if you think about it as a transferee in your head, you're like, I mean, yes, maybe you would think, okay, I need to go to orientation because it's a new school. But when you think college orientation, you think college freshman, not necessarily a transfer. Because at that point, as you had stated, you already had your associates. So it's not like you didn't know how college worked. You were just changing over to university. Yeah. So it's one of those things of, if you're not on top of it, it can very quickly not. And it's not even like I wouldn't even blame you in that situation. The fact that they sent you one email about it is insane to me. But what do I know? For my college experience, I wouldn't say opposite, but definitely vastly different from Chigi's experience. I graduated high school in 2011. Wow, it feels so long ago. I graduated high school 2011, and instead of going to a community college, I actually went to university straight. I went to the University of North Florida, which is in Jacksonville, just because that's kind of where my scholarship led me to. Just it was easier to go straight to university. Thinking about it, if I could, I would have done the 2 years, like, to get my associates at community college and then transferred over. I always say that because you genuinely do save a lot of money by doing that. But it worked out either way for me because I was on scholarship, and I had something called Florida Prepaid, which is something that my parents got for me, and it allowed me to go to college, go to university straight. So I started university that fall of 2011, and as the type A plus student that I am, I graduated winter of 2014. So I graduated with a full bachelor's in 3.5 years. And that is something, I do say this a lot too, I regret rushing through college, because in a sense, everyone's like, well, no, like, you saved a whole semester, if not more, and tuition and all that stuff. I feel like there was a lot more I could have accomplished if I, number one, stayed, and if I enjoyed myself a little bit more. I feel like a good part of my college career, I didn't take the time to enjoy myself because I was so hyper focused on it. My end goal was just graduation, and because my end goal was graduation, I didn't network as much as I could have. I didn't develop interpersonal skills as much as I should have. So I was part of the generation of millennials that when I graduated, this was also during, like, there was job, issues in the job market. So I graduated and I couldn't get a real job for a really, really long time. And I was in the same boat as a lot of my friends, where some of us were, like, able to get, jobs right away, and then some of us just weren't. So a lot of us had to continue living with our parents, and a lot of us were just continuing our original part-time jobs while we were in school. So it was like I was a young adult with a degree, and I don't want to say no future, but I was a young adult with a degree and no job prospects, because every time I would get a job, it was just contract work. So, like, it was just temp stuff. I never could land a full-time position. What ended up happening was I went full-time in retail. At the time while I was in school, I worked part-time at a grocery store, and I just kept that going until I eventually, because I couldn't get a full-time job, went full-time as a manager at a grocery store. And that was my life for a really, really long time. Like, I thought that was going to be my life, because I was like, yeah, I got a degree, but I got nothing out of it. Well, let me not say nothing. So, because, like I said, because I kind of, in my head, I definitely rushed through my quote unquote college experience. I feel like I could have taken, another semester, if not another year, to, take additional classes or to do, because I'm actually, because of how intense I was, like, taking my college, career, I could have graduated with a double major if I had one more semester.
Okay.
Which I don't know if that would have made such a significant difference in, like, my career wise, but it's one of those things that's in the back of my head that, like, if ever I look at my transcript, I work HR now, so, like, if ever I look at my resume, my transcript, I'm like, I'm 2 classes away from another major. Like, it's kind of sad. I'm just like, oh, that would have been nice. I still had credit and scholarship hours to do it. Like, I wouldn't have necessarily paid more other than an additional semester or 2 of time, but I could have graduated with a double major, and I don't know, maybe have been more competitive or had more of an edge because of it. I just opted not to, because in my head, For what, I don't know why. I just put it in my own head that like, oh, I need to graduate early, and if I graduate early, then like people will love me and be proud of me. That's not true. My parents would have loved me either way.
Right.
I just, in my head, I was like, that's what I needed to do. All of that to say, I'm very fortunate. Not everyone can go to college. I know that for a fact. And I feel very, what's the word? Like, I feel like, it, as an accomplishment, I worked really hard for that accomplishment. So I am proud of myself. Would I have done things differently? Absolutely. If I could go back. But then again, I mean, hindsight is always 2020.
Okay.
So
I forgot to answer part of your question, so I'm going to rephrase it back to you first.
what's up?
What was your associate's and what was your bachelor's?
So I don't know if this is exclusive to how universities work, vice going to community college and or, you know, whatever. I don't have an associate's degree. I have a bachelor's in, I have a BS, Bachelor's of Science in Communication, concentration advertisement with a minor in art history.
Okay.
And I could, that's what could have been my double major, is I could have had a double major in art history. I had all the credits for it except for 2 language credits. Literally 2 classes.
Okay. So my associate's was in business administration.
Right.
And then I was on a track to do a bachelor's in accounting.
Yes. Yeah.
And I had got all my prereqs done. I just needed to do my intermediate accounting, which is accounting 301.
Okay.
And I failed it. And took it again, and I failed it again.
I didn't know you took it a second time.
Oh, yeah. And so I was like, I can't continue doing this accounting because I can't memorize everything on the ledger. I am so unfamiliar with this world, so like maybe you have to like water it down or like layman's terms it for me. So what was it about counting? Because you are very, very intelligent. I want to make that very clear. What was it about accounting that was just like it stumped you? There are so many different accounts in the ledger that you just need to know where it goes. And I couldn't memorize it to save my life because it's not math based.
I see.
And that's why I had to change majors, because I myself am a math guy.
Yes, very much so.
And so I changed my majors from accounting, which is not really math, to math.
Wait, okay, hold on. Pause, rewind. Did you just say accounting is not math?
Yes, it's not math.
Please explain for the children in the classroom.
It's more organizational skills than it is math.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so. I've never known or heard that before. Like I don't know. I mean, we have another friend who's also a math geek herself. I want to say she started with accounting also. I think she changed over, but she did not mention that you said accounting is organizational?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I couldn't memorize all the accounts that, belong on the general ledger.
Okay.
And so I ended up switching majors, and I was like, I think a year and a half in at least.
This is at ODU already? Okay.
And I was thinking about going into finance, but I also needed to get accounting credit if I wanted to go in finance.
Okay.
So I did not end up doing that. I ended up going to math, and it took me a little bit to even pass my math classes.
Really?
Being a math guy, I still failed 3 math classes.
Well, also, I mean, college math classes, so you get into some really wacky stuff, I feel like.
Yeah. And when I say fail, quote unquote fail, that doesn't mean I got an F.
Okay.
Or, whatever the grading scale is.
Yeah.
What I mean by failing is I didn't meet the minimum to pass.
You didn't get, for the credit.
For the credit.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so the minimum to pass for the credit was a C+. And I ended up getting C's in those classes that I failed.
Yeah.
And so I didn't get the credit.
Wow.
So I had to retake the class to get the C+.
Oh my gosh. This is when you're trying the finance track, correct?
No, this is my math track.
Oh, you're already onto the math track.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my bachelor's is in mathematics with a concentration in secondary education.
Yes. So, okay, can you explain for the class
Mhm.
how that came up? Because it went from I'm an accountant, I'm going to do finance, we love math, we love numbers, teaching. So,
Oh,
how did that all come up?
so I have two friends who, one was an elementary teacher.
Hmm.
So she got her bachelor's and then her master's in education.
Yes, we love a smart queen. She's
And
the
then
best.
my other friend, he did an English track in
Mhm.
secondary education. And so he became an English teacher.
Yes.
And so I was like, let me join the club and become a math teacher.
Mhm.
And so I already had the math credits. I just needed the education credits to fulfill the concentration in secondary education.
At this point in your college career, was it like you were a math major and then you added it? Or were you, as you're transitioning into math, you're like, oh, let me also add the teacher stuff?
No, the first one that you said. So I was just doing straight math classes
Mm-hmm.
because I still had some gen ed to fulfill then. And then once I got past all my gen eds and I had to declare, what was going to be my minor,
Mm-hmm.
my quote unquote minor,
Right.
I didn't choose an actual minor. They said I could just do a concentration in education to become a math teacher
Okay.
if that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I was like, sure, because I do have friends that are becoming teachers.
Right. You kind of had that door was open in a sense, or like
Mhm.
you saw through the window of your friends and you're like, oh, okay, this door is an option for me. Now
Mhm.
I'm curious, prior to that point of the, I'm going to add education or I'm contemplating, did you have an idea or plan of what you were going to do with a math degree?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Like at all? You were just like, oh no, I'm just going to go to school and I'm mathing. Like you
Mhm.
were just like completely no plan, no nothing. That is terrifying. How? It's terrifying. Every single moment of my college career was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do for this. And we'll get into my story later because I changed, quote unquote, changed majors as well. But like, mine was all very strategic into like, this will land me a job, which was ironic because I did not get a job after graduating. So you were just like, oh no, I'm just good at math, so I'm going to be a math major. And then that was it. There was no,
Mhm.
what do math majors do other than like R&D, right? Research and development.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty much. I mean, you can go into statistics, but then you'd have to do a minor.
Fair. Yeah.
But to me, like, I really didn't plan out college the way I wanted it to be.
Okay.
But at the same time, I never had a concrete plan that I wanted to follow.
Really?
And so just having those two friends in their education major and or minors
Uh-huh.
led me to become a math teacher because the friend who got the master's,
Mm-hmm.
while we were going through college,
Yes.
we signed up to be, what's it called? Substitute teachers?
Oh, this is while you're in college.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, as I did substitute teaching as like a part-time gig,
Mm-hmm.
whenever I didn't have class or whatever, that was like my foot through the door into the education system.
Sure.
And so, my thought was if I had built up enough rapport with a certain school, that, later on they would be like, hey, we actually need a math teacher, would you be interested?
Yeah.
That was my thinking. That's not how it works out, though.
I mean, that's networking 101, you would think, right? Okay. That's really interesting. And I'm just curious as like so we're in this like transition of like, okay, now you need to pick a secondary or a concentration, as you said. And then you're like, okay, we're doing this substitute teaching thing. And I'm saying this as someone who entered your life after this era of your life.
Mm-hmm.
When you started teaching, genuinely, outside of all the things that ended up happening, which led to you no longer being a teacher, but like, did you genuinely find yourself like fulfilled being a math teacher?
Oh, yeah. When I did my last semester in ODU, it was called student teaching.
Okay.
And that's where you actually go into the school system.
Right.
You take on the role of a teacher. a teacher shadow a teacher,
Sure.
and then you
Because you
take
haven't graduated
over.
yet.
You take over for the class for a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
and then one of your I guess rubrics of grading throughout the entire semester is your students take a test
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of you taking over, and then they take the same test at the end of when you take over.
As like a measure of how much they learned?
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
And so, you could pick whatever you'd want to teach to the students,
Mm-hmm.
but you just had to give them that same test.
That was like your rubric almost in a
Yeah.
sense. Okay.
You had to give them that same test at the beginning and at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was your measurement of, how well you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, at first, the students were like, why are we taking a test? And I'm just like,
Gagged.
you know what, just take it.
Yeah.
It's not going to go against you. It's not going to be on your, final score or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just, I couldn't tell them what it was about either.
It's a measurement of knowledge.
Yes. And so I was like, just take it. Whatever whatever you don't, you'll learn.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, they were very apprehensive at first, but
Who wouldn't be? Because no one else is taking the test.
yeah.
Right.
But there was a lot of students that did so much better after I taught them that curriculum.
Really?
Yeah.
Like you were able to see their scores?
I was the one who had to grade them.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
like percentage wise, how much? I mean,
Ooh.
what was? I mean, if you were just this is rough. This is
Right.
years ago. Like, what was the either if not the percentage of like those who improved, but like or like if you could give a percentage of like, okay, most of the students were at a they passed it with a C. After me, like
Mm-hmm.
most of the students passed it with a B plus. Like, what a generalization?
So the average of the pre-test,
Mm-hmm.
I think, was around 25%.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's a hard test.
Oh, yeah. And you make up the test, too. So,
Oh my gosh.
it was pretty hard.
Yeah. What?
Um,
Do you mind me asking what grade?
this is for Algebra 2 with trigonometry.
Oh, I would have hated you, but okay.
Uh-huh. And the average score of the post-test was around 70.
That's a 50% increase.
Almost.
Yeah.
45, but...
That's a
because-
significant increase, though.
Yes, because it's an average, you had those who did ace the test and those that did fail the test
Right.
still.
Right.
So the average still ended up being a pretty good one.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Virginia metrics,
Okay. Okay.
a 70 is barely passing
Mm-hmm.
because Virginia's grading system
Mm-hmm.
was a 70 was a D.
Oh.
Yep. So
Okay.
I know everywhere else is like a 10-point grading scale.
Yeah. 70 to
So-
79 is C. 80 to 89 is B.
Hmm.
But 70 is D,
D.
is in delta.
Yes. So 69 and below is E.
E?
Yeah.
We have E's?
E is failing.
Oh.
And then 70 to 77, I think, is a D. 78 to 85 is a C. 86 to 93 is a B. And then 94 to 100 is an A.
I'm so glad I did not go to school.
Yeah, it's tough.
That makes it
A
more
lot harder.
competitive. Yeah. I mean, arguably speaking, if it's more competitive, theoretically you're challenging your students more. But I would have not survived the stress
Mhm.
personally. But okay.
So
And how many months was because you said that you had a pre-test, so many months of teaching, and then a post-test. So
Mhm.
what was the month difference? Was this over the course of a semester, a school year?
it's supposed to be a semester. So from September to December.
Wow. And you made that significant of a change.
So I'd probably say 9 weeks of teaching in the school system.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any, in that 9 weeks, at what moment were you like, because again, obviously you're still just like figuring this student teacher stuff out. At what point, and it might not have been the 9 weeks, it might have been prior to, at what point in this, okay, we're adding this education concentration, were you like, oh, I can be a math teacher? When did that click for you? Was it like a moment with a student? Was it a moment where you were teaching at the board and you're like, oh, my handwriting looks so cool on the whiteboard? I don't know. He has very good handwriting. I need to make that very clear. He has very nice teacher handwriting.
So the friend that got her bachelor's and her master's
Yes.
in education.
Yes, our smart queen.
I had to help her out finish and or complete her math classes.
No.
So I had to tutor her.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
I'm weak.
Uh-huh. And that was not only like one of the others that I was helping out at the time. There were like actual high school students that I was tutoring, you know, whatever class they were in, to get them through that class.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was during those moments where I was like, yeah, I can definitely become a teacher if I'm doing this one-on-one.
Okay. TA style or like tutoring style, mathlete style. Got it. Okay. Tracking.
And it just so happens that one of those students that were in high school trying to finishing up one of their classes, when they asked me for help, they needed to finish their final with a certain grade.
Oh, they needed to hit a specific grade on their final to pass, I'm assuming. Okay. Yeah. We've all been there.
And I'm guessing it's because, you know, they're quote unquote Asian, that they want to get a better score.
Of course.
Not just, oh, hey, I passed with a D.
No.
But I passed with, you know, like a B plus or an A.
Flying colors.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so when I helped this person out and they got back to me about what their score was, they ended up acing the entire thing. Like 100 plus the bonus points.
Wow. You're a very good teacher.
Yeah, I don't know what the actual grade was, but I do know that they got everything right on their final. I was just like, yes, I think I'm made to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing tutoring one-on-one is a lot different than teaching a whole class.
Sure.
And not just a whole class, multiple classes. And it gets really tough.
Oh yes, 100%.
Because it's not like you can pick the best class you can teach out there in, you know, a certain subject. You're dealt with the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
So like if you're getting into teaching, and you know, I'm just speaking from a math point of view.
Right. Sure.
You fill out whatever they need you to fill out. So you can't just go out there and be like, hey, I want to teach AP courses. Only the tenured teachers get to teach AP courses.
Oh.
So if you want to get there, you got to put your time in.
Right.
And then when you do get in, you get the piss poor kids. So you start out Algebra 1, pre-algebra with high school students. So you get the remedial kids. And those are tough cases. No, you're not there.
I was.
No. It's a lot worse than you.
I took algebra in 7th grade, I think. I was a year or two ahead, but I was the remedial student.
I'm talking about seniors still taking algebra.
Oh, I thought you said freshman. I'm sorry.
These are like the bottom of the barrel kids.
Oh, okay. No. I wasn't that. I was the remedial among the honor students.
Yeah. You don't even get to even look at honor students within your first year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's well, I guess it depends on school district and stuff too, but you were in your local district, or you worked within your local district. That's hard. But all that to say, I mean, and I mean, I'm kind of putting a lead in with this. As much as you say that those cases were hard or whatever, I know in our experience, as like we will be out and about and people will go, Mr. Chigi, is that you? Like a full grown adults coming up to us, and I'm just like, who is this stranger talking to us? And Chigi will know their first and last name. He'll know the grade that they were in. He'll know everything about this kid, like as if it was yesterday. And this is years ago. So I think that for them to remember you, even though their time with you was a year or less, if not, I think that's really impactful in that way. So that's really, really crazy, which is so wild and ironic because now you are not a math teacher. You are far from being a math teacher as you can be, even though that's what your degree is in, which goes to show you, children, that life is crazy.
Yeah.
Because I have a degree and I'm not in my field either. So no, I feel that. That's wild. So when you're in student teaching, and you said that was your last semester, and I mean, this is kind of like both pre last semester and then up until the last semester. I don't know how structured it is for adding the teaching concentration, but like when you knew that you were going to graduate and all that stuff, was that like you were ready to graduate? Because I was saying that like I just forced myself to graduate because I was like, oh, I've checked all the boxes, I'm going to graduate. Like, was it a little bit more premeditated for you, or a little bit more planned out?
I was just trying to get through it as well.
Yeah.
So, going through my curriculum, I was just checking the boxes as, whatever the sheet said that I needed to graduate. And of course, the very last thing I had to do was that student teaching. And so, going through the classes to get to that last semester, was probably the easier parts, but the actual student teaching was probably the worst semester I had, because it was just a lot of things you had to do as a teacher.
Okay.
Planning the curriculum, going through and teaching them, and then post work. So like parent-teacher conferences. That part was probably the worst for me.
We've never talked about this.
Yeah.
You did parent-teacher conferences.
Oh, yeah.
Spill the tea. What did the parents do? I feel like it's either really, really good or really, really bad.
Yeah. So it so happens that you actually have to attend the orientation for high school students.
Okay.
When you start doing your student teaching. And so I met some of the students in that orientation.
Sure.
And then you go through the beginning of the year, teach them 9 weeks through, and then afterwards, you take your test. In between, I never thought about, I have to actually talk to their parents as well.
Okay.
Because I thought that was going to be the teacher that I was shadowing. I thought that was their job. But he was like, nope, you're doing it. I was like, oh, okay.
Straight up. He was just like, no, it's on you.
Yep.
The fear that would enter my soul.
Yeah.
So then what happened?
There were, a lot of the parents, they would just go along with it. But there were particular parents where they were like, oh, my son or my daughter, they need to be doing this at a certain time or whatever. And there was one student, female,
sure,
who at one point, they got a question right, like in class.
Okay.
And it was a problem where like I was stumped because, I was looking at the question and it was my first time looking at it. And it was their first time looking at it as well.
Okay.
And they got to the answer before I did. And I was just like, yes, that's right.
Oh,
When they finally explained how to, get to the solution.
The student explained it to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, yes, that is right. And, after that class, they went home, they told their parents about it. The very next day, I got called down to the principal's office. And I was like, yes, how can I help you?
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, I didn't do anything bad or anything. And then they were like, hey, it's come to our attention that, you weren't able to teach a specific problem to the students. And I was like, yes.
Well, it wasn't that you weren't able to teach it. It was just you guys were looking at it at the same time. Student happened to come up with a solution first.
Right.
It's not that you couldn't, right? Like, you understood what the problem was eventually. It was just, yeah. Okay.
And so the parents of that student, they were like, is this person fit to be a teacher? Like, should they be teaching my student?
No, they did not.
Yeah, they did.
Wait, but okay, at this point, couldn't you just go to your shadow teacher and just be like, hey, can you support me in this? Is that not how that works?
No. Because at that time, this was like towards the end of the 9 weeks.
Okay.
And I think by like week 2 or 3, the teacher that I was shadowing just left me in the classroom while he did his own stuff.
I'm dead. He was like, deuces.
Yeah.
Why? Wait, but that leaves you with no protection, though.
Mm-hmm.
Not the just full agreement, just yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, sorry. What happened? So, parents, we're at the principal's office. Parents are there. Is the principal there?
Yeah, the principal's there. It was just me and the principal anyways.
Okay.
But I didn't see the parents.
Oh.
Good thing, because I would have went off on them.
Okay.
The student was not in there.
Sure.
It was just me and the principal.
Yes.
And I told him the situation. I was like, yeah, I was stumped for a good minute, and I told them, I was like, hey, this was actually the first time I saw this material.
Yeah.
And I just told them the entire situation. They were like, okay, just that this doesn't happen again. Just make sure that you're well prepared for the whatever you're going to teach.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, cool. That was it.
Curious.
Uh-huh.
When the student told her parent, right? When
Mm-hmm.
the student told her parent, do you think the student had malintent? Or do you think the student was just like, came home, mom was like, how was school today? Oh, you won't believe what happened, mom. I was that. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I believe, they didn't have no ill will against me.
Right.
It's just, some parents, they think their child is everything. And when they were like, oh, how'd your day? And they're like, oh, this one thing happened and I outsmarted the teacher and
I
blah,
felt
blah,
so
blah.
smart. Yeah.
Instead of that being a positive thing,
Yeah.
they just turned into like, oh, you're not fit to be teaching.
Another side tangent. I hope that if and when you and I have the wonderful opportunity of possibly being parents, if I ever turn into someone like that, I hope you clock me so fast. I hope you reality check me so fast. Because I do understand that there can be a certain blindness of like parents to their children. But I would like to hope that I have enough of a reality check of my own to be like, if my child, God forbid, if they ever were to act out or whatever, I would not be the type of parent who would be like, my Johnny never, like, I hope that I'm never like that, because teachers work way too hard for people to be refuting or disputing that. I mean, there are certain very hyper specific cases, maybe not, but at the same time, it's like, if I hope you keep me in check, because I hope that I don't have that type of parental blindness. That's crazy. Okay. And then what ended up happening afterwards? I mean, obviously you talked to the principal, you had a talk. Okay. Make sure when you're preparing your material, it's a little bit, you're more prepared, or you're more like, whatever about it. And then did any other consequence come of that?
No. I mean, it was brought to my shadow teacher.
Yeah.
And he was just like, it happens.
Your shadow teacher sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
But also, like, I love the fact that he's like, goodbye.
Yeah. I mean, but it's true.
Yeah.
We're all human. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
And, we can't remember everything.
And it wasn't like you made a mistake in the first place. You were just kind of like, I didn't have my coffee this morning. Hold on, y'all.
Yeah, basically.
Literally, yeah. Okay.
And so they were on their A game, and I was struggling a little bit. They got to the answer first. So that was really all it was.
Wow. That's again, I think it's so wild that the parents went out of their way to be like, is this person fit to guide my very gifted, wonderful daughter?
Basically.
Ew. Absolute cringe. That's so crazy. But But yeah, so then you graduated.
Mm-hmm.
How did that make you feel? How did that all work itself out? Because you had such a wonderfully long and illustrious college career. So were you relieved? Were you like, I'm so done with this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
After that semester,
Mm-hmm.
that was the point where I was like, I don't want to go back to school.
He said, I'm done, y'all.
Yeah, I didn't want to pursue a master's. I didn't want to pursue anything else that had me sit in a classroom to learn.
Really?
Yeah, because that student teaching semester, it took everything out of me.
Yeah. It mentally squashed you out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in a really good way. And so I'm speaking from the perspective of, as I said, I entered Chigi's life much later when you were no longer a teacher or a math teacher. But as someone who got to know you again, and we've talked about your teacher career before, but it's really funny to me because it's like, genuinely, guys, Chigi is a really good teacher. He has the patience and the understanding of getting someone from point A to point B. And I say this as like, we've talked about not even just math things, but like there are times when, excuse me, in my rush, in my ignorance, whatever, I just, there's things that I don't understand or that I cannot comprehend. And Chigi will take the time. This is not because strictly just because he loves me. He does this with everyone in his life. He has the capacity and the understanding to see this person is here, they need to be here, and here's how I can get them there. And that's why I was asking you, like, if you felt fulfilled as a teacher, because you really are a good teacher, even more so a good math teacher. As someone who is not a good math student, I can attest that. And this is just like everyday life stuff. I can only imagine in an actual school setting where you are genuinely working to foster a learning and open and safe environment for people to learn. Because for some people, for a lot of people, math is not easy, nor is it fun, nor is it whatever. You make it less daunting with little to no effort on your part. I feel like it comes very naturally to you. And not just because you're good at math, you're good at being a teacher. So it does sadden me a little bit because I genuinely feel like you can be a very, very good teacher. It just wasn't in life's cards for you to continue being a teacher. But yeah, that is a roller coaster of a story. Only, again, for it to be, and we are not the only ones. I know a lot of people who have degrees, and it's just like, you're just not doing your degree at all. I have a degree, I'm not using it. I mean, I use it in a sense of like, oh, I have a college degree, it's a check in a box, so that when I apply for a job, I can say that I have a college degree. But I don't actually use the content of my college degree
Right.
in my like regular work anyways. So wow, what a roller coaster. You went all over the place, and it was so long. Like I feel for you, because mine was so fast and yours was just so not fast. But again, like that is a really, really good accomplishment that you overcame all those things, including ODU's very, very poor communications of not telling you to attend orientation. Which is really, really silly and funny. I mean, it was a waste of a semester, but still very silly for that to be the reason. It's like, I'm a transfer kid. I don't need freshman orientation. Hello?
Since you only went to one college, I guess.
I did, yeah. I went to UNF as a freshman. I graduated from UNF as like, that was one degree, one school, one whatever. I had different majors. I changed majors, but I still graduated in 3.5 years because I used my AP. I got AP credits so that I was able to get a portion of my gen ed stuff.
Okay, so then what were your different majors?
I started out as so I have a minor in art history. I started out as an art major, and I tried doing graphic design as a major, and it did not work out. I don't know why it didn't work out. It was one of those things of like, I just was not a good artist. As lame as it sounds, because art is so subjective, but I wasn't doing well in art class, and I was taking all the art classes. I took all the art prereqs. I passed those with flying colors. It was fine. But anything graphic design related, I was just falling apart. Like, just, it was not clicking for me. I couldn't get it. I had made such a big, because at my school at UNF, to be a graphic designer, like, you had to have a MacBook, and you had to have, like, I invested so much in the technology portion. Like, I invested like money and stuff into the technology portion of it. I bought all the programs, I did all the things or whatever. I attended, intro design, and every time I was just in Photoshop, it wasn't clicking. I really loved InDesign, which is, cause I like working mainly in vectors rather than like in images. So when you work in Photoshop, it's pixel work, and then when you work in InDesign, it's vectors. And I like vectors a lot more because I thought I was gonna specialize. Like my whole thing was like I was gonna specialize in logos, and branding work, and that did not happen. Like it did not work out. I also had a teacher that, and I don't think I've actually expressed this to anyone other than like Kelly, because she and I went to school together. But so the graphic design department had like 3-ish teachers, like 3 main teachers, and you kind of like rotate between them for like the highly specific, like specifically graphic design classes. And there was one teacher that I was scared of him. He didn't like me. It was one of those situations where it's like I couldn't even, like, I was so scared to even approach him to get the help that I needed to pass the classes. And like I couldn't even do that. So like I just didn't attend his class. Like I was paying for something and I wasn't attending it because he scared me so much. I was following all the material, I was doing all the homework, I was still submitting all of it, but I was not physically in class. And this was I had classes with him before, and so this is probably my like 3rd class with him at this point. And the way he made me feel like absolute garbage, and I couldn't, like I said, I didn't know how to ask for help in this particular setting. And mind you, because the graphic design department was so small back then, we're talking 2011, this is like early Instagram days, early, Facebook days. So like social media was still like it was there, but it was like, it was budding into something very unique and very, very different. And so being in graphic design was really, really competitive. And I just had students who it was so quickly clicking for them, and it just wasn't clicking for me. On the art side, I could understand branding and marketing, and I was grasping like, oh, okay, if Nike does this, this will be successful versus if they were to do that. And I could see it visually. I could not create it, if that makes sense. And so that led to, essentially I had one semester where I had, I think, 2 or 3 classes with him in that semester. And one of the classes I just wasn't attending. The other class I was like attending maybe once a week, once every other week. Like it was really, really bad. And so I bombed all those classes, all of his classes. I was doing fine in all my other graphic design classes. It was just his classes. And so after that, it was like well, you have to retake these classes. These are graphic design basics, so what are you going to do? And I went to the Student Resource Center, essentially like the equivalent of a school counselor at my university. And they were like, well, you can retake the classes. Like, it's not going to hurt to retake the classes. Like, you're still on your scholarship. My GPA was still ridiculously high enough that it didn't matter that I was not passing these classes. And by not passing, I was getting like C's. Like I wasn't actually failing. I was getting, a couple bad grades, but, and the rest of my classes were all A's. And so then I was like, okay, well, or you can pivot. And I was like, well, what's my pivot option? They're like, you can go to the communications department and do marketing. You can do advertising. And I was like, okay. So that afternoon, I walked over to Professor D's office. She was one of the communications professors. Just knocked on her door, and I was like, hey, I'm a failed art student. What can you offer me? And so we kind of just had like a talk. It wasn't very long. It was like 15, 20 minutes. Just her being like, and essentially it was just a very introductory, like we were talking shop. She asked me like, well, what were you trying to do in art? And I was like, well, I really wanted to do like logo work. I wanted to do this. I wanted to work on branding and brand identity. She's like, well, then why don't you do advertising? And I was like, well, what's advertising? And we go in, and she like has like the little university booklet. And then she's one of the professors, and she's just like, I'm going to show you, here's media, and here's how to utilize media, and here's how you can whatever. And then she showed me a full plethora, like a laundry list of items of like, this is where you could take a communications degree. And I was like, bet. Went back to Student Resource Center. I was like, change my major.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned into, that day, I changed over to, which is crazy because this is year 2. So I have all my prereqs. I have all my gen eds were done. I was done with my gen eds after year 1. But all my like prereqs were art. Everything, all of my like, it was ART, ARH, ART, ARH. And here I am just like completely pivoting over to comms. And I was like, okay, well, I guess this is the thing. So the following semester, I did history of multimedia, mass media law, and intro to advertising. And like I had one semester where I had to do all the comms prereqs, which is funny because it's like I still graduated early, but I had to completely start a new thing, a new degree year 3.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this clicks really well. Like I had this is so nerdy and lame. I had a mass media law book. Like it was actually like a law book. That thing was I read cover to cover of my own volition. I did not need to read this for class. I just read it because it was so fun. Covered in sticky notes and highlighter and pencil and all the markings, all the things. Like I was so invested. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then from there, I kind of fell into a group of, we were a group of 4 girls, and we were all kind of like, we just clicked really, really well in class. And we ended up doing a lot of our like intro stuff together. And because of the 4 of them, I took a hyper fixation on advertising, specifically social media. So social media advertising and doing social media campaigns and blasts and ads and all that stuff. This is like early tweet deck, like this is early chipmunky, like all sorts of like crazy stuff that's like not relevant now, but me doing all the statistics, getting clicks, how clicks work. I did a whole presentation on how clicks work. What it means to get a click, how that applies to advertising, and what that means money-wise. Like, it was a whole thing. And so, in addition to all of that, I also really loved writing. And I went to a high school where I specialized in writing. So I went back to my writing roots. And so I think I had like 2 courses where it was just writing full campaigns out, like just writing. And I was like, oh, this is really, like, I was like, oh, I, like, fit in really well here. This is great. My final dissertation was as I had I guess the equivalent of your student teaching, I interned, quote unquote, at the local museum. And I ran their social media for a semester. I literally went to the museum and I worked there, like, doing stuff. And I ran their social media campaigns. I did all the things, and it was really cool because I was really hyper fixated on how localized media can affect national numbers. So my local museum it's a museum of contemporary art, so it's linked to Museum of Contemporary Arts in other, metropolitans or cities or whatever, but mine was the Museum of Contemporary Art in Jacksonville. And so what I wanted to build up was okay, here's 5 people with 5 different audiences. I had a mom with like 3 kids. I had a college-ish graduate or whatever who had a strong social media following because of her fashion blogs. I had, a guy who liked to post about his kind of like workshop stuff, and like because he worked kind of in manufacturing. But I think at the time we had like a string and steel exhibition, and so I was kind of like tying like his manufacturing work to like what exhibitions we had. And so what I would do is I would invite these people, here's this event, post about it, we'll repost about it, and so then I can reach mom blogger audience, I can reach manufacturing audience, I can reach, actually I'm saying manufacturing audience, I'm thinking like Mikey's audience, like that type of thing. And by doing that, then I'm cultivating audiences to tie into my local audience, but how I can scale that onto the national level, and I can pull in the other Museum of Contemporary Arts, and my ties to them. But I was also an intern, so like I was updating the phone number list, and I was doing like regular office work. So, all of these things to say, it was like I was in the thicket of it, genuinely. And then I graduated. And then no one wanted to give me a job, so it didn't really matter. And I was like, okay, let me not say no one wants to give me a job. I mean, I created an app for the city of St. Augustine. I worked at, different things, did contract work, but I couldn't get a job. And so I put my social media days behind me, and I worked at a grocery store after that, which is so not glamorous. Yeah. But that's like life, right? I mean, yep. Unfortunately, if I could go back, I would, because it was fun when I was doing it. But I, at the same time, don't know or don't think that I was good at it when I was in it. I don't know. Clearly, I wasn't good enough to stay, in a sense. I mean, there was a lot of things in life that happened. I ended up moving here, for one. But it was also just like okay, well, that was that chapter of my life. It was fun. It was exciting. It was challenging. It was very network and social heavy, which is maybe why I didn't stay with it. Who knows? Because I'm an introvert by nature, but in that sense, it was really, really cool. And I would have never. I have to give a shout out to that professor, Professor D, and Professor D was also the person who set me up with my internship, because she was like, well, you have an art background, go work at the museum. What do you mean go work at the museum? Yeah, the university owns the museum. What? And I did, without a connection, quote unquote, I had a connection through Professor D, but like without a connection, then all of a sudden I had a connection into the world that I loved so much, because I loved the art world, but I wasn't in it anymore. And it was like a cool blend of being able to do both. And then, in addition to all of that, because I can never leave anything alone, I already had all the art classes, so then I kept taking art history classes, which is how I ended up with a minor in art history. 2 classes short of the major. But I took all the art history classes because I loved art history. I can give you entire like full presentations on really, really silly, not necessary things in the art history world, but I love it because it's so niche. I don't know. Let me not say the only type. I for some reason, something in art history really, really clicked and resonated with my brain. And so I really did like that side of art. I like art in general. To this day, I still go to museums. To this day, I still love supporting artists and doing all the things, but I'm just not working in that world. But yeah, that was my really roundabout but very fast-paced college career. It's so funny because I had professors along the way who like didn't like me or didn't know how to work with me, but I was also very fortunate to have professors who did. like Professor D. I also had a this is so funny to me. I had what class was it? It was like a social science class, and it was like, the type of class where you talk about the Socrates of the world, and because I had such a strong writing background, and I went to like a really hyper specialized art school, I had a really unique perspective in this class. Supposedly, this is from my professor. I do not agree with this person, but he was like, I really wish that you would like minor in this because you're so good at it. And I was like, I'm just taking this for the credit, bro. Like, I don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. But people like that who encouraged the development of my mind in different ways really did help me. One of the things, as I was talking, it kind of hit me again, and this is something we've talked about, but I remember you and I were talking about how many classes would you take a semester?
Wow. So I always took the bare minimum to stay full-time,
Mm-hmm.
which was 12,
Mm-hmm.
and I never went over 15.
Yeah. I was averaging 16 to 20 credit hours a semester, and it's so funny to me whenever we talk about this, because it's like, I remember thinking that like I was doing 16 to 20 credit hours for school. That would be everything from I'm taking regular gen ed classes to my labs to my art classes and whatever it was. Because especially with art classes, because art classes, at least in where I went to school, they're 3 hours long. You can't just go to class and like be like art in like 40 minutes. Like you are sitting in studio time for 3 hours because you have to finish your art, whatever that means. And so, and it's like, I distinctly remember those, like when you and I would talk about this, where I was like, yeah, whenever I would take only 16 credit hours, I felt like I didn't have enough classes. And so in my head, I was like, okay, then pick up more shifts at work or whatever. And then you were like, yeah, no, I just took bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's so crazy to me how vastly different our school experiences were in that sense. Because I know for me, I was like, I need to max out everything, all at once, do everything now and be really, really good at everything now. Because if you're not, then you're a failure. And you're just like, no, I'll just take 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to be fair, I think it is considered, 12 is considered a full-time student. Yes. Which is like the threshold. 12 credit hours is the threshold. So for full-time students. So yeah, I think it's really interesting how not just our college careers being so vastly different from each other, but also just how I feel like it morphed a lot of our lives intentionally and unintentionally. And again, the irony of it being both you and I, as working professionals now, are we using our degrees? No, just to check in the box. I want to make it very clear. I am very grateful that I have my education. Like, I want to make that so clear. One of the things that my parents instilled in me from the very beginning was no one can take away your education. Like, the things you learn in gen eds, the things you learn in your specialty, whatever it is, that knowledge stays with you and you alone because you experienced that and you have that knowledge. So I am eternally grateful that, number one, I had the opportunity to even go to school, and number two, it was not difficult in a sense of like, I was on scholarship, so financially it wasn't difficult for me to go to school at all. Did I still have to work and did I still eat ramen? Yes. I think that's like universally, because college is expensive. It was expensive then. I cannot imagine how exorbitantly expensive it is now. But I am so grateful that I have my degree, because I do think that it helped to morph me into who I am in a lot of ways, even though I'm not actively using that very hyper-specific knowledge. I learned a lot of interpersonal skills, critical thinking skills. I learned a lot of how to be just amongst your peers. I think a lot of times, and some of the things that we joke about in the HR community, is that like the new generation, because a lot of their school was online, whether due to the panini or just they would online school for college is more prevalent now, they don't have those same skills, and so office culture is very different for them than it is for us, or like how it's perceived is very different. So yeah, I'm very grateful for my education, and no one can take that away from me.
I can't say the same.
No, what do you mean? You got an education. You're an educated guy.
I got an education. Am I proud to say that I got an education? Not really.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're so smart, and you're very intelligent, and having, well, and I'm gonna say this as someone who is terrible at math. Having a degree in math is no joke. I mean, we've talked about this too. My parents were so like blown away when I said, yeah, he's a math major. You know, that is not an easy thing to do. There's a reason why there are entire masters and doctorates in math. Like, you know, you can, your brain is wired differently, and it is very special and very unique, and no one can take that away from you. And the fact that you can accomplish what you did is something to be proud of. 100%.
Yeah. It's like my math major now, it's not helping me in my current position at work.
You do numbers, so it kind of counts.
That doesn't really help me. So
I mean, you know, data, numbers, analytics.
I have a degree. I'm done with college.
To check in the box, yep.
Check in the box. That's all I can really say now.
Yeah.
But, am I ever going to go back to, doing something with numbers in that capacity? Probably not.
Really?
But, it is what it is.
You're still my human calculator, though.
Yeah. I'll do that for you. And, that's probably just going to be the end of what I use my degree for.
That's not true. People still ask you for help, I think.
Yeah, when it comes to time.
Not as frequently as before, but I mean, when we started dating, you were still tutoring someone.
Mm-hmm.
When we started dating, ironically, that person is now my coworker, but it worked out. So, yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on college life?
I was only going to ask you.
What's up?
What was the end point of where you knew that you weren't going to use your degree anymore?
So the last contract job that I had was at a news station where I developed that app for the city of St. Augustine, which I heard they're still using, but it's like vastly different now. I mean, good on them. It was the one that we developed was so crude. It had valuable information that I like input on it, and I think the branding was right, but it was just the program that we used was very crude, and it wasn't as sophisticated as it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, because I think I worked for, that was like a 6 to 9 month position. I don't remember how long, less than a year. And when that door closed and I didn't get like a callback, or I didn't get oh yeah, we would love to work with you again in the future. Like, I didn't even get one of those. And I don't think it wasn't because I didn't do a good job. It was just like oh, we're going to use you for this one thing and that's it. And it felt like the door felt shut then. Like, it was like, oh. And, and at this point, my friends who were in advertising, who did get into ad agencies, they're starting to become, brand manager. Like, they're starting to take on accounts, like, career wise at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm still doing contract work. Like, I'm not even in like a traditional ad agency, or I'm not even running, I'm not even running the communications department at an established institution or whatever. It was like, now what? And at this point I had, I don't know how I did that, because I was working full time at the news station, but then I guess I was able to go back to my grocery store job, and it was just kind of like, all right, this is what I'm doing. And it wasn't a bad gig, full time, benefits, like I had it all. It just wasn't a degree job. So I was like, okay. At that point I was looking at moving out to, because at the time the central hub for the grocery store that I was working at was in Pensacola. So then I started looking at transition programs to start working for corporate. And, you know, because I was just like, I mean, I have a degree. I don't want to stay on the floor forever. You know, like, it was kind of one of those, like, okay, if this is where I am, then I can find, you know, I could work with this. And, like, if this is where, if these are the cards that I'm given, what's the best outcome for me? And so I was, you know, looking at transition to corporate programs. I was looking at, excuse me, like applying for the communications department at my, you know, at the hub of the grocery store to work on, you know, actual advertisements and stuff like that. And excuse me, like, you know, try to do stuff like that. I entered into a program where I was the youngest pricing manager. And this was for the Northeast District of Florida. And, you know, and they were getting our input on how pricing and advertising works on a store level. And so, like, I was part of that conversation, which was really, really cool. And I was literally the youngest one. The next youngest person, because I think that was, like, I was 21, 22. And the next youngest person was, like, 40s. So, you know, I was like, oh, okay, I can do this. Like, if I'm starting now and I'm already a pricing manager and, like, I can work my way up, I can do this. And then life happened and I had a choice where I could stay in Florida and continue to pursue that, or come here and just completely start completely fresh. And serendipitously, I ended up here. Just because there was a small little sliver of, like, I could do this for the rest of my life, but there's one last door that I can check to see if I could do something else. Because it was a job that I could do, but I wasn't happy. I mean, like, I straight up, I had caught, like, this is how, like, much I was in it. I had a contact at that old grocery store who helped me get a job at a grocery store here when I first moved here, because I was still worked grocery, because I needed a job. Like, I literally moved here with no money, no nothing, no plan, just a place to crash, and here's my resume. And so I ended up getting in contact with someone that I used to work with in Florida, and he somehow had connections at the grocery store here. It's a different grocery store chain. That's how I got that job. And I became another manager here at this grocery store. And I was like, wow, I'm really, really in this grocery game. To be fair, when you make it up the ranks, like, if you become, like, director level, or, you know, even assistant director level at a grocery store, you can make bank. You can make super bank. It's just a really hard job. You have no holidays, you have no breaks, you have to work weekends. Like, you have no set schedule. If something happens, if the store calls you, you have to go in, you know. And it's I remember one of the girls, we're going way off tangent, but, like, I remember one of the girls was saying, she told me that I need to start taking what's that one, like, anti-anxiety medication, like, just so I could deal with the stress of the everyday of working at the grocery store. I don't even know what it was. I can't remember what it is now, but it was just like, she was taking that on the regular, like, just because that's how stressful the job was. And so I was like, ooh, let me try that last door to see if I can get out of this. And I did. It took a little bit. It took a year and a half, I think. Less than 2 years. And then I got my current job. And I don't use my degree. Yeah. All that to say, don't use it. The degree helped me get the job. I checked the box. Are you a college graduate? Yes, I am. What is your degree in? Is it at an accredited university? Yes, it is. Okay. You're qualified, or you're minimally qualified for this position. Awesome. Love that for me. I was sad because I was hoping, at least so in the government world, you can apply under something called superior qualification. No, that's not it. Where you get really, really good grades and a high GPA, so you can classify for, like, a higher grade. And I did not get that. And I was very, very sad because I was like, I worked really, really hard because I graduated with a really, really nice GPA. It did not work. But I'm here now, so it doesn't matter. All is well. All's well that ends well. And yeah, so it it's sad because it's like I look at that era of my life, and that was just, I classify that as like, oh, that was my early 20s. Like that was a chapter in my life where I was deeply into, like, and this is while I was in college, because I didn't get the opportunities after college, or I couldn't grasp the opportunities after college. And it was fun. I had really fun and crazy and wild experiences doing, social media and doing art world stuff and working in a museum and doing all the things. Like, it was really great. Just didn't work out. It wasn't for me for whatever reason. It's like, all right, moving on. Would I ever return to it if I had the opportunity? Sure. Who knows? It's not easy though to get in. And I do not have anywhere near the network that I had when I was in my early 20s. So I can't even imagine, who knows? I mean, I make friends all the time in the art world here. Whether or not they offer me a job, who knows? Yeah.
Cool. For me, the moment I knew I wasn't going to be using my math degree, in the future, I was still going through student teaching.
Oh, this is early on. Okay.
And you're paired up with like people who have the same concentration. So I was paired up with two girls who were going to be math teachers as well.
Okay.
One was already a math teacher.
Oh.
I don't know how you get that.
Sure.
Okay. She was literally hired on as a full-time teacher at one of the schools. The other girl was just in the same boat as me. She was assigned to school, and she did her student teaching. And at the end of the semester, I'm pretty sure the other girl that didn't have the teaching position was real good friends with the one who did have a teaching position.
Okay.
And so at the end of the semester, I continued on being a substitute teacher.
Okay.
And at the next school year, I went on with a certain school, and I became a substitute teacher there. They knew I had a math background.
Yeah.
And they had me substitute for one of the geometry teachers there.
Okay.
And she was struggling because she had a lot of health concerns.
Oh, I see.
And I would always substitute for her class. And I don't know, maybe a month or two in, she ended up passing away.
Oh, no.
And they were like, hey, we need someone to cover for her.
Yeah, like this slot is here. Yeah, the teacher's gone.
Yeah, but it wasn't like, oh, we're going to give you the full-time position. We just need you to cover.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so as a substitute, I was like, okay, I'm subbing for this teacher. That's cool.
Yeah.
But they were having me do like everything that teacher would be doing on her own, or on my own. So I would be making the curriculum or pulling whatever the curriculum was for that day. And I would have to like make the actual like teacher's notes for each day.
Okay.
And as a substitute teacher, that's not your position. That's supposed to be given to you.
Oh.
And so I was actually doing it from scratch.
Was it that they told you to do it, or was it that no one was giving you this stuff, so you just started doing it?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Like whatever the teacher that I was subbing for had just wasn't available because no one had access to it.
Oh, okay.
And then whatever the other geometry teachers had, they weren't giving to me. So
T.
Yeah. Anyways, later on in the year, I complained to the school system. I was like, hey, I'm subbing for this teacher like full time.
Yeah.
What can you do for me?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to continue doing this if, no one's going to assist me with this position. And they were like, oh, wow, we didn't know that you were doing this.
Really?
Yeah.
They had no
And
idea.
so
Okay.
there's a stipulation
Mm-hmm.
in substitute teaching where you, if you continue to sub for a certain teacher 21 days in a row,
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to be given a position called long-term sub,
Okay.
in which the pay is drastically increased,
Okay.
and you continue to sub for that teacher.
Yeah.
They weren't giving that to me, and I was in there for already like 4 months by then.
Did they back pay you?
No. So I complained.
My inner HR is like fuming right now.
I complained. The school system, they were like, okay, let's see what we can do for you.
Sure.
By that time where I finally got the long-term sub position, it was already March.
That's the end of the school year.
Yeah. So from like maybe October, November up until March, I was getting paid a regular substitute pay, which is a certain pay per day. A long-term sub pay is like $20 an hour.
My inner HR is so mad right now.
Yeah. It was like $20 an hour, which is like substantially more than what
That's
you would get.
a lot different, yes.
And so, like I worked out the math to it, and I showed my kids because I was like,
Stop. You're
Yeah.
so funny.
I was like, hey,
Y'all, here's the tea.
hey kids, what's new in your lives?
Let
And
me
they were like,
share the tea mine.
it was one of the warm-ups we had. The kids, they gave their answers or whatever, and I was like, oh, this is what's new in my life. And I showed them the figures of, what I was getting paid before as a regular sub to
Yeah.
what I was getting paid now as a long-term sub.
Yeah.
And they were like, hey, yo, that's a lot.
You got ripped off.
Yeah. So that was just one of the things.
Yeah.
At the end of the school year, I finished out the school year being that long-term sub for this teacher that passed away. And at the end of the school year, I thought that they would need a teacher to fill in for that
The position was there,
that
yeah.
position. A position never opened up at that school.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, maybe they don't need a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
When the next school year started up,
Mm-hmm.
I went back to subbing a regular sub
Sure. Yeah.
back in the pool,
Yeah.
and I was at a different school.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out they hired on another teacher to fill that position.
Oh.
And it was the girl that didn't have a teaching position that was in my group for student teaching. And I was like, that's strange.
You picked up the slack and saved that school from losing that geometry class for them to give it to her?
Right.
She
And
didn't even do it.
Right. So she was doing her student teaching at a different school. And I'm pretty sure the way that she got her in was a recommendation from
Her friend?
the other girl
Stop.
that was a student teacher that had a teaching position.
Oh, we don't like them. Oh, no. Absolutely not. Ow, absolutely wretched and backstabbing of them. How could they? You did all the work. Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. So that was the point that I knew I wasn't going to go back to teaching anymore.
Yeah.
And so whenever...
You got screwed over by the system.
Yeah.
Literally.
Whenever I finished that school year at the other school, I was like, this is my last. And so that's how I knew
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be using my math degree anymore.
I mean, or you wouldn't be doing it for that. You wouldn't be a teacher anymore. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't be using the teaching side of your degree. You still do numbers.
Yeah,
And you're really
I still
great
do
at
numbers.
them. Yeah.
But yeah. It was a very backstabbing moment for me.
Oh, yeah. I would be livid. I would have fought. No, I wouldn't have. I say that. That's really hard. And that's the thing is like it. Don't get me wrong. Again, I do not regret my college degree. I do not. But if you don't have the connections, it really can mean nothing very quickly. Because like you said, you're in the same boat. You committed to and you did the work and you still got the short end of the stick. Why? Because so-and-so was friends with so-and-so, got coffee one more time with that girl than you did. Like, that doesn't make sense. But that's how systems are, unfortunately, in different ways. But again, I think, I think you agree with this, where it's like, we are very fortunate that we had an opportunity to go to school, and we both graduated, albeit in very different circumstances. And we wouldn't be where we are without it, regardless of the good and the bad that came with it. We definitely have been changed and molded by the fact that we have college degrees in overall, I think, a good way. Because, again, no one can take it away from me. If someone asks me, are you a college graduate? Yes, I am. I'm a really good college graduate, actually. But, you know, that's what I like to say, because I was a really good student. Thank you so much. I pride myself on being a good student, genuinely. But, because you were saying, you're like, I would never go back to school. I would 100% go back to school. I don't want to pay to go back to graduate school. That's why I'm not. But I would if I could, if I was like randomly rich one day. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Please let us know in the comments down below any other topics that you guys want to hear from us. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.